Love it or loathe it, vinyl is back. Vinyl sales last year reached an incredible 53% increase on the previous year. That's a staggering 25-year high point for the format. Sales even eclipsed those of digital downloads. So the big question is, where does that leave vinyl in the 21st century? Hi, my name's Bob Malkowski, and I'm going to show you a great gadget by iConnectivity called the Spin XLR, which should really help bring vinyl into the 21st century.
Picture the situation. There's a piece of music you haven't heard in ages. It's from an obscure band on an obscure label, and you can't find a digital copy anywhere. There's also a kick-ass sample. You're dying to lift off that old white label promo you used to spin, which always set the dance floor alight. The problem? How to get the sound of those old records into your door. So, you've been into the loft, you've rummaged in the spare room, or maybe been down to the local pawnbrokers. Either way, you've got yourself a turntable. It's a good first step. Chances are you've also either a small audio mixer or an external audio interface. For this demo, I'm using a small hardware mixer, as it shows the connections really easily.
Okay, so one of the problems you might have at this stage is you've got your mixing desk and you're trying to interface your turntable with your mixing console. Now, as you can see, this is a very, very typical arrangement for most turntables. You've got a pair of RCA or phono type connectors and this weird spade type thing. If you're not necessarily from a generation that grew up with vinyl, that might be confusing, but don't worry about that. What we're trying to do is connect that to our mixing desk. Now, some desks like this have a red and white phono pair that says tape input. So you might think that's compatible. Let's have a see what that sounds like. Okay, so let's get a piece of vinyl out here. Pop it on your turntable. We've got full automatic, luxury. And let's see what actually happens. Now this desk has got a tape input control here. We'll flip that to tape to main mix and actually see if anything happens. So I can hear straight off the stylus of the record there that it is actually playing acoustically. And well, hardly anything's happening. I've got the tape input cranked as hard as I can. And it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right. There's no other way to describe it. It sounds really thin and there's just no level there whatsoever. And that's giving it a really good boost. So, I don't know, what's wrong there? What's wrong there? Well, you might think, okay, I just haven't got enough gain there. I just haven't got enough gain. So let's unplug that. And you might think about using either your line input here or the microphone inputs on the desk. Obviously though, that doesn't go. That doesn't fit there. So if you're anything like me, you'll have a couple of boxes full of adapters, all the kinds of things you're going to need on a day-to-day basis as a jobbing sound engineer, loads of different adapters. Microphone inputs usually have the most gain, so you might think to yourself, yeah, all right, let's use the microphone inputs, and you might have some nice little adapters like this. So let's see what happens there. Let's go in those channels, and well, I mean already that's a bit of a nasty mechanical connection. I've got 45 dB available on each of these channels, so if I increase the input gain here, well, it's there, but I've literally got the input gain pegged, and that sounds pretty horrible actually. Really narrow bandwidth. That doesn't sound like how vinyl should to me at all. So in total across both stereo channels you've got 90 dB of combined gain there. Any engineer will tell you that there's something wrong.
Why then didn't the turntable work straight into the mixer? Well, the answer is that the output from a turntable pickup cartridge is much lower in output than a line level device or even a microphone. As much as 50 to 60 dB of gain is required to bring the output level of a phono cartridge up to the level of something like a CD player, for example. On top of this, there's something called RIAA equalization to consider. To put this simply, a dramatic form of equalization is applied when a record is mastered. This is necessary to stop the grooves over-modulating, literally running into each other when the master is cut. Upon playback, the opposite EQ curve is applied to restore the original flat frequency response. So, going back to why our turntable sounded, well, frankly, poop into our mixer, the answer is that we need a phono preamplifier.
Okay, so what we've ascertained is that what we need to interface our turntable with our mixing desk, or indeed audio interface, is some kind of RIAA curve equalizer that also has a built-in gain stage. In other words, a phono preamplifier. You can find these fairly easily available nowadays, but they are largely geared towards the hi-fi enthusiast. Nothing wrong with that, I'm a hi-fi enthusiast myself, but hi-fi runs at line level, is on unbalanced connections. It's not really what you want in a professional situation, whether that be in live sound, studio, anything like that. What we really need, and when we're dealing with pro audio, is balanced inputs, such as on here, XLR inputs. That's the kind of interface that we're looking for. Thankfully, iConnectivity have just released an excellent piece of kit, which is exactly what we need. It's called, fanfare please, the Spin XLR by iConnectivity. There it is, says it there, right there on the box, right there on the box. And you'll see straight away what we have are a left-right input, which can come directly from your turntable, and a grounding plug. So let's get that connected right up now. So we go right, left, and we did briefly mention this here, the spade connector. That is a turntable ground. The turntable I've got here is just a basic domestic unit with a plastic chassis, so it's not that crucial. But what we do is let's just tighten up that big lovely brass screw there. Tighten that up. The ground is really important when you've got metal case turntables. You can sometimes end up with an awful ground hum, and of course if you're plugging this into a desk you need something to add as an effective ground, so that's really nice that iConnectivity have included that there. We then have, I was talking about lovely XLR balanced outputs. You don't even need an interface lead, you don't even need patch leads, it's hardwired straight onto the box, dead easy. So let's see what happens. Okay, so if I plug my right output into what I'm going to be using as channel 2 on my desk here, and the same for channel 1, which will be my left input. Now, this being an active device, it requires power, but there's your little clue just there. 48V, that's right, it runs off phantom power, and you can just see they're giving a nice little green glow there. No external power supply needed, no cumbersome horrid wall wart, it's just powered directly off the 48V phantom power supply. So that's all done, we can literally just pop that out the way now. And well, let's see if we're any better. So let's get the turntable running here. You'll remember beforehand that I was having to pin these inputs as hard as I possibly could. That was 90 dB combined gain I was needing there, and I still wasn't getting anywhere. It sounded terrible, the signal to noise ratio would have been appalling. Now you might just be able to hear acoustically the turntable is playing, the vinyl's running. So let's see what happens. Well, I can already see, you can't see it quite in shot, but I can already see that I'm getting a little bit of level in straight away, even with this at its lowest level. If I bring up my solo here, I am in fact getting full signal at unity gain, which is absolutely brilliant. That means that these are running at line level. So let me bring up my master mix here. Make sure these are panned left and right. And much better. And now it's actually sounding how it should sound. All thanks to our little friend here, the Spin XLR. It is a fantastic little piece of kit. Thank you very much, iConnectivity, for giving me one of these for review. This will live permanently in my little toolbox that I carry around with me to gigs and shows. I'm sure it'll come in handy. I'm sure there's no end of times where this will be just an invaluable little tool. So thank you very much, iConnectivity, for giving me this, this prototype here to review. If you're interested, have a look on iConnectivity.com. You'll be able to find this available. I think RRP's around about $60 on it. I don't know what that translates to in UK pounds, but probably crashing by the day. Thank you very much for watching this brief video on the iConnectivity Spin XLR. Go out and buy one. It's great.